Yes, they have a right to stop persons, but I'm not a person. I'm a human being.
I
I'm a
don't have
prosecutor.
right. Not on me. I'm the court. I just call
And the
balls and
prosecutor can,
strikes. Just because you cancel your ID doesn't mean now you have the right to drive in the state of Michigan. It's whether you want them to or not. There's
they
no,
become
I don't
active.
want them to.
They become
Yes.
active when you agree to the stipulations.
You don't have to agree. It does not say that. We have stuff called strict liability crimes. And those are crimes that automatically kick into place whether you agree for them.
Right out of the gate, we're seeing one of the most common sovereign citizen arguments, the idea that laws only apply if you personally agree to them. The judge isn't buying it, and legally speaking, that's because many traffic offenses are what's called strict liability offenses. No contract required. Question for you, have you ever seen someone try to argue their way out of a traffic law by redefining words?
I'm calling the matters of the people versus Timothy Talley Williams. This is ticket SP. I'm gonna just call his ticket numbers. Ticket SP 146680, count 1, 2, and 3. Ticket SP 146730, count 1. Ticket SP 1283889, count 1. Ticket SP 145230, counts 1, 2, and 3. Ticket SP 1283888, counts 1, 2, and 3. Ticket SP 1411848, counts 1, 2, and 3. Ticket SP 141840, counts 1, 2, and 3. Ticket SX 2454328, counts 1 and 2. Ticket SP 1409983, count 1. Ticket SP 1409982, counts 1 and 2. Appearances for the record, starting with Mr. Williams, who's representing himself. It's okay, Attorney Vinek. He's representing himself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Williams, can you state your name for the record, please?
Timothy, for the record, hereby special visitation.
All right, and this is the date and time set for a final pretrial in this matter. We are scheduled for a jury trial on Monday. Attorney Mason has tendered to the court a witness list in this matter, as well as a special jury instruction served for you to be able to see in this particular matter. And let me ask again for the record, you know you have the right to have an attorney. Would you like to have an attorney for you in these matters, sir?
Well, for the record, I'm here to serve a default judgment. I serve you, Andy and Mason, the affidavit. Back.
You did, and I'm in receipt. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Yes, on the first, and I gave you 15 days. All in, it was 23 days I gave you, and I haven't received a rebuttal. So I served you guys with a default, and I'm here to.
I don't know what a default is. So there's no default judgments in criminal matters. These are criminal matters. So the only default that we have is if you don't appear to answer for a ticket, then the default that goes into place is your failure to answer for a ticket. Once it's established and it's here, I don't have to establish why these are tickets on the docket. That's why they have the jury and the bench trial options for you. These have been matters that have been, unless there's been a motion about a formally written motion about illegal stop or some constitutional violation, these tickets are considered to be valid and true.
No, I answered an affidavit of non-corporate existence.
So Mr. Williams, the answer to the question today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all I'm here for.
Well, you guys haven't rebutted my affidavit.
Mr. Williams, again, I'm going to say, Mr. Williams, again, the question for today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all. I have officers present. I have officers Evans present. I have Officer McCree present. I don't know if Officer Bush is coming as well, but they are here today to know whether or not they're going to be ready for trial on Monday. We set this jury trial out a long time ago for this trial on Monday. So are we going to trial?
Officers? What officer?
We have Officer Evans and Officer McCree present today.
And Judge, I have Officer Nunley. He's trying to check in right now. Faison Nunley.
Officer Bush is here also.
Thank you, Officer Bush. Nothing to see. Good morning. Oh, it's Evans Williams. Okay, say thank you, Officer Bush.
Okay, we go
All
to
right.
trial.
Okay. So Monday we go to trial. Do you have a witness list or no, it's just you, Mr. Williams?
Yes, I have 3 witnesses.
Okay. I need to know their names. They need to be provided to counsel. So you have to write them down and do a witness list.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, can you just
I'll give it
email
to
me
the
that? We've
prosecutor.
been emailing, Your Honor. He has my
Okay.
email and I have his. So you can email me those witnesses, and I'll amend my witness list as well, Mr. Williams, so you'll know who mine are as well.
Okay.
All right. All right. So it's at 9:30 a.m. We'll start to get that jury picked on Monday. Oh, and there's all right. So now I have a whole slew of officers who are checked in. Officers, this is a jury trial. So it's an in-person jury trial on Monday. In-person jury trial on Monday, 9:30 a.m. at Courtroom 337.
Oh, this is where the train starts leaving the tracks. The defendant is trying to use a default judgment concept from civil litigation in a criminal traffic case. The problem? Criminal courts don't operate that way. You can't win a criminal case because the prosecutor didn't answer your affidavit. The judge immediately spots the issue and shuts it down.
At 36th District Court this Monday. And once we get the jury all sworn in, then we will proceed with testimony that day, hopefully in the afternoon. Anything else for you, Mr. Williams? I know I'm glad to hear y'all been talking back and forth through email so that we can make sure we're ready to push forward on Monday. Anything else you want to say for the record, Mr. Williams?
No, that'll be it.
Okay. All right. Attorney Mason, do you have anything for the record?
I just want to get a tally of my officers who are present today, just to make sure. I've got Officer Nunley, Officer Bush, Officer Evans, Officer Faison. Nunley. I'm sorry, I said Nunley, Evans, Bush, McCree. Anybody I'm missing? Okay. And Mr. Williams, I will amend my witness list for you, and I'll email that over to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, then that is the remaining tickets. Are we
We all set?
with those, Attorney Mason, or no? Today, or are we waiting until Monday?
Yeah, any officers that are not here today, Your Honor, we can dispense with those tickets.
I appreciate that. So that is a few tickets. That's gonna be ticket number SP 1283889, SP 1283888, SP 1411848, and SX 2454328. Those officers did not appear today. I know it's just the final pre-trial, so I'll just put that. I won't necessarily mark them absent. What tickets remain, Mr. Williams? Okay, let me tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a drive unregistered, untitled motor vehicle and drove while unlicensed, and a no proof of insurance. That's one officer. The next officers are open alcohol driver, tinted windows, no seat belt, no driver's license, no insurance, untitled motor vehicle. And then the final officer is going to be drive unregistered motor vehicle, no insurance, no license ever acquired, and tinted windows. Okay.
And Your Honor, if I may interject, since he does have an email, I can copy those tickets and email them over to him. Please. So that he can have them. I'll come down and get those, and I will email those tickets over to you, Mr. Williams.
Okay.
So that way
for the record, are we able to argue these matters right now, or are we going to trial?
You said you want to have a trial. What you want to argue?
Yeah,
you want to talk
saying,
to Attorney Mason?
What was that?
I said, you want to talk to Attorney Mason just briefly in the breakout room and see if y'all can resolve any of the tickets?
Well, we was just emailing, and I don't know if it meant anything to her, so that's why I wouldn't just take it to trial.
Well, because you can't say I just want you to dismiss it because I'm not a citizen. That's not gonna work. Or I just want you.
Oh no,
to
that's not it. I got laws stating that all this is frivolous, but I'm saying, can we argue this right now, or do we?
A lot of people would say the laws are frivolous. Well, yes, if you have some argument that you would like to make, you can make it that way. I can rule, and that way we can go to, if we're gonna move forward to trial, we can go to trial. 1 second though, off the record, just for one moment. Christopher Williams, can you hear me? Because Attorney Vinik or Attorney Zaranik, he's been trying to sign on. He's on his phone. I'm trying to get him to mute *6 so someone can talk to him. *6, sir. *6. Christopher Williams, hit *6 on your phone. *6, sir. You need.
Your Honor?
Yes, Attorney Soroki.
Yeah, if you like, I can speak to Mr. Timothy Williams.
Notice how focused the judge is on one thing, trial readiness. While Mr. Williams keeps returning to jurisdiction theories and affidavits, the court is trying to answer a much simpler question: are we actually going to trial on Monday? This disconnect is often what creates so much courtroom tension in sovereign citizen cases.
A breakout room for a few minutes, explain the legal system to him.
Yes, can you?
No, sir.
Do you want to make your argument first, Mr. Williams, or do you want Attorney Soroki? He wants to give you a little feedback. That way you'll be prepared for Monday's trial. No? All right. He doesn't want it, Attorney Soroki. Thank you, though. I appreciate you.
Okay, very good.
Okay. All right. We're going to try and call that gentleman who called in the meantime. Back on the record in the matter of the people versus Timothy Williams. Can I have appearances? First Attorney Mason, then Mr. Williams.
For the record, Your Honor, Diachiku Mason, City of Detroit, 43471.
All right. Mr. Williams?
Yes, Timothy before the court, here by special appearance. As a state citizen, not a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Changes every time. All right, you want to make a motion or you want to make an argument as to these tickets? You can go ahead at this time, Mr. Williams.
Okay, for the record, for the record, Shapiro versus Thompson states that all citizens must be free to travel throughout the United States, uninhibited by statutes, rules, or regulations, which unreasonable burden or restrict movement. Did you get that?
I'm listening. I'm just writing down. You see, I got my notepad.
Okay.
I'm writing down notes.
And then Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court decided that a state cannot arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty, in this case, the secure right to travel, into a privilege and charge of or issue a a state can't arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty into a privilege and issue a license and fee for it, meaning we don't need license or insurance to travel throughout the land. And Murdoch versus Pennsylvania states no state converts secure liberty to a privilege. No, Shuttlesworth versus Pennsylvania. No, Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, Alabama, you can ignore the license and engage in a right with impunity if you happen to have a license. And back to Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, no state may convert a secure liberty into a privilege. So no state has a right to require you to have a license. Hold on.
Okay, so that's your argument as far as no state can force you to have a license
Require.
because it's a constitutional right to travel.
Which is our First Amendment.
Travel. Okay. You know, security versus time.
Murdoch versus Pennsylvania.
He was in prison arguing about the vaccination. You know, that's part of what Shakira versus Thompson was talking about, right?
No. Shakira versus Thompson.
Yes. If I'm looking at the right one, you talking about Shakira versus Thompson, Sergeant Thompson?
Shapiro versus Thompson.
Shakira Rowland?
Shapiro. Shapiro versus Thompson.
You're not seeing it.
And then Murdoch versus Pennsylvania states that no state can convert a secure liberty into a privilege.
Hello.
Hello? Is this you, Mr. Christopher Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me put you into a breakout room so that you can speak with an attorney about your case today.
Yes, ma'am.
Put him in breakout room number 5. Attorney Binick, if you don't mind, or Attorney Soroki, either one.
I'll take him. That's fine.
Okay.
That might be the most direct warning we've heard all hearing. The judge is essentially saying, if your entire defense is that you're not a citizen and therefore traffic laws don't apply, that's not going to succeed. At this point, the court is giving Mr. Williams every opportunity to present a legally recognized argument before trial.
You really beat me.
Yeah.
Judge, if I can put Christopher Bush in a breakout room talking real quick. Or
You can. I'm reading this case. So this right to travel was about a welfare case, Mr. Williams, where she wanted to go to a different state. And they told her that because she didn't have established residency and that she was going to be denied services.
Right, and that violated her.
Right, because it's talking
right
about services. She needed to take care of her child. She was 19 and she was pregnant.
But you're avoiding the facts of the case. Even though that she filed a lawsuit against the state for denying her privileges, but the Supreme Court ruled that the Supreme Court ruled that can't happen because that also be violating her right to travel throughout the states, throughout the land.
Receive the benefits that she needs in order to take care of herself and her child.
Yes, but you're missing the argument that the Supreme Court has stated that'll be violating her First Amendment right, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, travel. You see that ruling? I don't want you to miss that fact. That's what they ruled.
They said the closest the Supreme Court has come to overturning Shapiro Thomas was in 1995 with Anderson versus Green, California Welfare and Interstate Code annotated section instituted a 1-year residency requirement for welfare aid, violating Shapiro versus Thompson. Both lower courts in California affirmed that it violated Shapiro versus Thompson and granted an injunction. I'm sorry. Due to the procedural issue, California's residency requirement never went into effect, creating no justifiable controversy action and no actual issuance for the court to rule on. Whether they receive a waiver from the Secretary of Health or Human Services to set aside Shapiro versus Thompson, making the residency requirement pseudo-legal, the waiver was challenged again, and it's holding that the state court and the Secretary of HHS had not adequately considered public comment on the issues. So this just talks solely about, even talks about the social impact. The social impact and the legal impact is that you can go different places, and we as the governments of each state still have a requirement to take care of those citizens within our state. This is about welfare. Yeah, this is about the welfare system and the ability for people. You cannot stop people from traveling. I don't see anything in here about a driver's license.
Look, the decision of the court.
Right, she has the right to go places.
Look, the court reaffirmed the right to travel under the 14th Amendment Privilege and Immunities Clause in Suez versus Roe. So they conferred it to another case. But the conclusion of the case like that would be violating her right to travel. It has something to do with the welfare, but it's violating her right to travel.
It's all about that. Because the reason why we can't prohibit her from being able to travel or to go to another state is because then they're saying once she gets to that state, she has to establish some type of residency. And what they're saying is that if she doesn't have that residency, she wouldn't get the services needed. And so they're saying you can't say, oh, you can't go to this state and not get the stuff that you need to take care of yourself and your family just because you're not. I can't stop her. I can't say you can't move to this state and then we're going to block everything. I can't do that. Right. This is not about a license.
Violate the right to travel.
No.
That was the decision of the court. I'm not making it up.
You aren't, but you're not understanding what their decision was based on. Yes, you have the right to travel, but this is concerning services.
So if I chose to carry a weapon, I will be bearing arms.
If you chose to carry a weapon in the state of in Illinois, that's an automatic. You're not allowed to carry weapons at all in the state of Illinois unless you're a law enforcement officer. So if you traveled over the state lines and you went to Illinois and you tried to carry a gun, they would tell you no.
But that's irrelevant, Your Honor. You're talking about the state of Michigan. I have a right to bear arms, but you will call it receiving but the Constitution of Michigan states that I can bear arms, but
because once again, and we had this conversation already, the states can make stuff more, the localities can make stuff, they can, and it's a state law anyways, but they can be harsher than the U.S. Constitution, but they can do something that would take away from the U.S. Constitution. So they're not taking away your right to bear arms, they're just putting parameters around that right. And recently it was challenged at the Court of Appeals when someone tried to say that the people have the right to bear arms and that seeing a bulge or doing stuff like that didn't equate to it. And the Court of Appeals has said and ruled that does give probable cause for an officer to ask about whether or not they have the licensing because the state has determined that they need to have the licensing. So if the state determines that there needs to be a certain licensing in place and that rule or that is violated, then that has to go forward.
But that's kind of irrelevant.
Okay.
And like Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, say no state can convert a secured liberty into a privilege. our secure liberty, First Amendment, is the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Mhm.
Right to travel throughout the United States of America,
Right.
freely and unencumbered. We're not causing harm to anybody. We just obeying the constitutional rights, exercising our constitutional rights, which is the court is here to help protect them. I'm relying on the constitutional rights. I'm not just out here willfully nilly, like United States versus Bishop. United States versus Bishop.
But you are,
Defines
because you're only taking the part that you want to be applied to you.
And here comes the classic right to travel argument. Sovereign citizens often cite Supreme Court cases they believe eliminate driver's license requirements. The catch: courts across the country have repeatedly ruled that the constitutional right to travel does not exempt someone from licensing, registration, and insurance laws. What do you think? Should the right to travel mean no driver's license is required, or is the court's interpretation the more practical one? Let us know below.